Hello, welcome to Finger Thinking. Today we have a bit of a classic. So this is an Olivetti Lettera 32. I have just picked it up today. I bought it on eBay. It is the second one in my collection and we will find out why in a moment. I haven't actually played with this machine yet. I have opened the case as far as to see that the zip works and to make sure that what was in the case is what I actually bought, but I haven't actually played with it. So you get to discover along with me whether I actually got a dud or whether I got a bit of a gem. So let's start. One thing we'll actually find with this case is that the basic shape of the case is, and the style, the blue with the black trim, pretty similar to the case I have for my other Lettera 32. The zip is different. My other one, I'm sure, I'd have to dig it out, has like a white zip with metal teeth and it's just absolutely busted. This zip is actually still in excellent condition, which suggests to me that this is a bit of a newer machine than my other one. So, for the big reveal, here we go. There we are. It's a Lettera 32. We'll just take it out of the case in a second. Looks to be all there, looks to be in perfectly fine condition. I'll just take this out. The case, from what I can tell, is pretty standard. That tends to be pretty standard aging and age spotting in the case. Not quite sure what that little bit of vinyl is there, but it looks like there was 4 at some point in time. That's where the feet go. But they're not there now. Doesn't really matter. We'll just move this out of the way. So the machine itself actually doesn't look too bad. It's much cleaner than some of the other machines that I've actually found. There's a little bit of dust down in amongst the keys, but it looks like for the most part this has actually been stored in its case. It hasn't been used as an ornament on a shelf. Okay, the carriage seems to work all right. Just at a glance, one thing I can actually see, and I've not seen this before on a typewriter, I can actually see it appears to be a bit of a crack right there. Goodness knows how that happens. I'm actually going to have to pull out my old one and do a little bit of a comparison just to see if something's changed. I do actually know that these were manufactured all over the place. So I've seen these manufactured originally in Spain and Italy. I've seen some, I'm sure, from Great Britain, Canada. I could say Poland or somewhere, or Czechoslovakia maybe, but I could be making that up as well. But at the end of the day, these didn't come out of one factory. They came out of several factories all over the world. Now, with the listing, the one thing the listing did say, it didn't actually mention that crack, so anyway, I'll have to go back and check the photos, but I'm not too worried at this point in time. What the listing did say was an issue was that the shift lock was stuck on, and we can actually see that here. So it's actually, the sample typing was all in caps. So, and if we push that, then yeah, it does actually look like the shift lock is stuck. But as this is a typewriter and they're mechanical, I have a suspicion that that will be resolved pretty easily, which is one of the reasons I chose to bid on it. If we pull the top off, we do actually have both of the spools. Well, that I think is actually the biggest hassle on the Letteras, the 22 and the 32. Even if you want to move into, say, the Underwood 310s or the Olivetti Doras, these spools, these lock nuts, sometimes they go missing. If you haven't got them tight enough, the ribbon winder doesn't work. I find that a bit of an annoying quirk. However, it doesn't seem to bother lots of people. There are still lots of things going for this machine. Now, okay, that works. Let's get a piece of paper and see what happens when we try to type. All right, so okay, so that actually fed not too badly. I don't know why it slipped there, but that's all right. Let's put our margins. The margins work. Yes. Yes. Let's put it back at about. I fed the paper in at the 0, so let's put it on about the 1. See what happens there. Well, we can see that it needs a new ribbon. And of course the numbers don't work. All right, so this might be really hard to see. I'll try and get it in. I'm going to give it all away now. Hopefully we can see that on the camera. This is actually a cubic font typewriter. Now I don't know exactly what that font is called in the Olivetti. I will give it a bit of a Google and I'll put a note up in the corner of the screen. So, but I have never seen another letterer with this, with that typeface. Most of them are the Elite or the Pica. I've seen a few which have cursive or a script typeface, but never any with that cubic typeface, which makes me wonder what the age is. Now, let's have a look. Let's have a look. Okay, so we have a serial number of 9678367. So I'm just going to jump off and have a bit of a look at where that sits in the age. Okay, based on the information in the typewriter database, this serial number, which is in the high 9s, is actually a 1977 manufacture. So that shows how popular this model was. If it gets up to close to 1 million, it might have done over 1 million. I'm not sure. I can't see that information with a quick Google. However, what a quick Google does tell me is that, look, this is a very popular typewriter, well loved by lots of authors that we've heard of. The two most famous ones are possibly Cormac McCarthy, who, according to Wikipedia, wrote 5 million words on a Lettera 22. I suspect he probably went through a couple of them. I don't think they were all necessarily done on the same typewriter, and certainly not in the same platen. That would be an awful platen to be typing on after 5 million words. But the other one, Francis Ford Coppola, apparently he used an Olivetti Lettera 32 to write the screenplay for The Godfather. So yeah, this machine has some pretty solid fans out there. Okay, let's have a look at this shift key issue before I even jump in and have a clean. Like, if we have a bit of a look at it, that actually looks really clean. It's a little bit dusty down here, but in there it actually looks terrific. So not going to complain too much. Don't really understand why there's one spool which is upside down. Needs a new ribbon anyway, so I'll actually replace that. Get the spools the right way around, and it's a dual colour selector on this, so I'll put a dual colour ribbon into it. Now, all right, first thing that is logical to check is, all right, so it doesn't matter which button I push on this, the shift key stays down. So where I've had this issue before, if I hold the shift key down, look, there we go. Pull the shift lock off. Problem solved. So, yep, so shift works. It's a basket shift, not a carriage shift, which is another reason. So the rather than the platen and the carriage moving up, the basket moves down, which is easier on the fingers when you type. That's another reason that this was a very popular machine. But it looks like, so if I push that down, okay, the shift hold button does work, and it looks like I just need to pull it up, which makes me think that this little linkage in here just probably needs a bit of a clean. Bit of the good old isopropyl alcohol, and I reckon we'll get that running good as new. Okay, time for a bit of a clean. I've had a look at the typewriter just off camera. We can see even with the keys, the type basket, that's so clean. So clean. So I will give it a little bit of a wipe down with some of my favorite rubbing alcohol and the cotton buds. I don't even know if I need to get the toothbrush out. I will use my trusty paintbrush to get down in between some of these keys, but I think this will be a pretty quick job. We can even see just with the colour of these couple of cotton buds, even the little bit of dirt that's coming off, it's pretty good. There's really not much there. I think we might put the carriage lock back on for this one. It's unusual. All right, we'll just put the margins in. So this is a bit of an interesting feature. It has the Made by Olivetti sticker on the back of it, but I've not seen one like these. Normally it says Made by Olivetti in Spain or Italy, or it'll actually say which country these are made in. But this one doesn't. So I don't know where that puts it. Okay, so we can see just in the return lever here, there's just a little bit of that surface is just kind of oxidized a little bit. Sometimes you'll see pitting on these. It doesn't seem to be rubbing off. And if I hit it with my fingernail, I don't think that's actually making much difference. So I think I might be stuck with that. If you look here, if we actually look at the platen, we can see that there's some typing that's happened straight on the platen. So I wonder if maybe the grandkids have actually got in there and typed because the young kids seem to be fascinated by these. Don't know how many times I've been asked, so where's the print button? There is no print button. But anyway, that's a concept that some generations just can't get their head around anymore. But there we go. The print button are all of the keys. Okay, so one of the things that we haven't actually done is a key test. I just assumed that they all worked. No. I was so keen to get in to see if the shift button issue was resolvable, and the ribbon didn't work. I didn't actually do a key test. So let's jump back in and do a key test. So we have, you can see that that's feeding really nicely. We love that. All right. Okay, so every key works. There are no sticky keys on this. That is brilliant. Okay, so when I tried to turn the carriage lock on earlier, we noticed that it did not work. So that's in the off position. This is in the on position, and it makes no difference. So if we have a little bit of a look, in the side of the machine, this is the carriage lock lever. So if we move that up, it's supposed to move this little, it's supposed to move this little bar in here down, and then we move it down, it should move it back up again. Now, I don't actually think that that little bar is moving. This little plate bit here is moving as far as it should. So I'm going to have a bit of a look at it. Right, and this is where we actually do a little bit of a switch. Now, this is my other Olivetti, my other Lettera 22 that I've taken the top off of. As we can see, this is a 5.7, which is 60% of the age of the other one that we've been looking at. Now, hopefully we can actually see this is the carriage lock lever. We move that and we can actually see this bar down here is much more responsive. So we're going to try and see if we can give the other one a bit of a clean and get this level of responsiveness out of it. What we're trying to achieve is having this bit actually move up and down freely. That's very stiff, but okay, a little bit of alcohol, and can you already see how this is starting to move back? So there we go. Let's hit that with the good old trusty toothbrush and the alcohol. And just move that a little bit more. There, bang. So can we see how that's snapping around the way it should? So we'll blot up a little bit of that extra alcohol. What we don't get isn't a big deal because it'll evaporate nicely. And let's give it a go. So up, the carriage lock should be off. And if I turn it down, there, bang, I can't go the middle. Carriage lock fixed. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. All right, now we're going to try and achieve the same level of success with this sticking shift key. So if we can see in the camera, when I push this down, it's all related to this little plate in here. So I suspect that little part of it is all a bit gummed up. So we're going to hit that with the toothbrush and the alcohol as well. Because when we push that down, it doesn't work. When we hold that down and move that back up, we want that to happen automatically. Can you hear it? Immediately. Bit of the old alcohol and the toothbrush, and that's a win. There we go. Looks like everything works. I think it's time to put a ribbon back into this and see what it looks like when she types. Okay, so the ribbon that I'm going to use is this. It's just a red and black ribbon, generic ribbon that I got off of, I want to say eBay, could have been Amazon. I think this one was Amazon. It was a packet of 4 for 20 bucks or something. Now, they are cheap Chinese ribbons. They're good for proof of concept. They're not the best ribbons. I do like, in Australia, there is an eBay seller named Richard A5171. So he's over, I think he's in Newcastle. Anyway, if I want to order my good quality ribbons, I order them from Richard. They're about $10 each. But they're way better, and I think they're actually a little bit longer than these cheapy Chinese ones that claim they're 10 meters long. I've never pulled them off the spool to measure. I'll do that one day. Won't be today, but it's enough to actually stick it in the typewriter and actually see if it works. Now for the Olivettis, we have this ribbon. So it's got the kind of 6 slotted star, if that's a thing, on one side, and then this teardrop side on the other. It's this side up because this is where the actual these screws go into. I'm not going to bother putting gloves on, even though it's going to be really messy. I'll just wipe my hands on a wet wipe at the end of it. So here's a special one. I've just noticed that the ribbon on this is upside down. So these are supposed to go this way up, but I don't want red up. And this is a little bit of a frustration because sure, I could just actually have the selector on, reverse the selector, but then I find the ribbon lifters like it's moving extra, and that I find that a little bit visually distracting when I'm typing for long periods of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and pull this off and rewind it the way it's supposed to go. Okay, so we're back. We have our ribbon wound around the right way, so the black's up the top along with the teardrop eye shapes. So let's try putting this on. Okay, we can see that because we had that teardrop shape up the top, we've actually got the lock nuts actually seated nicely down into the spool. So there's it's a bit of an art to get the actual tension right on the screws. You don't want to screw down so far that you actually crack the plastic of the ribbon spool. However, if you have it too loose, you'll find that your ribbon doesn't wind. Anyway, time for another typing test. Okay, Zoom in. How awesome is that typeface? Okay, so I think we have a great machine here. It was pretty clean. I didn't have to do much to it. Bit unfortunate about this crack, but that's okay. It doesn't seem to be affecting anything. The two issues that we had, the shift being locked on, gee, that was an easy fix, as was the carriage lock. And then everything else seems to be great. The typeface is terrific. It has that great snappy Olivetti Lettera feel. That's one of the things they're famous for. And I think I'm going to get a lot of typing done on this machine. Now, I might not get 5 million words out of this machine. I'm not Cormac McCarthy, and I certainly cannot write like Cormac McCarthy. But yeah, I think this machine has a lot of life ahead of it. Thank you for spending some time with me here at Finger Thinking, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Have a great day.